Hey there, and welcome to Garage Door Guidance. In today's video, I want to go over why your garage door isn't closing and what you can do to fix it yourself. So let's start with the first thing. If your garage door opener is doing this when you hit the button, or if it goes part way down and it comes back up and you get a flashing light like that, these fixes that we're going to go over here today should resolve this issue relatively quickly. So we're going to dive right in. I'm on the left side of my garage door here. This is on the inside. Obviously, we've got these little safety sensors here. On the left side, I've got a yellow here. This is the sending unit. And we're going to go over to the right side. And on the right side, I've got my receiving unit. So 99% of the time, if your garage door won't close, these guys here are the culprit. And amongst the different models and different brands of garage door openers, the sensors will vary, but for the most part, the idea is the same. If one of these is misaligned or pointing upward or downwards too much, or even if the rail, or if even this rail here is too loose, sometimes as the garage door is closing, it'll shake that rail and also trigger the sensors, and then it'll come back up and you'll get that flashing light just like I demonstrated earlier. So step one, of course, is making sure that you obviously don't have anything in the way in between these two sensors here, which of course we do not. So we'll go ahead and move on. One of those things you might want to look for are if this rail here is really loose as the garage door is coming down, sometimes that might shake it to where that light will turn off. Of course, mine's pretty tight, so it's not going to do it for us, but the idea is as it's coming down, it shakes the rail, and so that might trigger the sensor to do something like that, where that light's flickering. So that flickering is also, so you can see right there, it's just flickering a tiny bit. That flickering will send your garage door back up or will prevent it from closing. So you want to make sure this rail is nice and tight and not loose to where it can wiggle that sensor. The next thing you want to look for, of course, is making sure there's no cobwebs or any leaves or any kind of debris that might have blown in and got into the face here and cover that lens up, because that will also, like I said, it'll send that right back up or prevent it from closing. Another thing I like to do, especially if it's spliced like this, like I said, you're always looking for a completely solid light right here, this little green light. You want to make sure that's always completely solid. If it's a Genie, there's a red light. You want to make sure that the red light is not flashing. On the linear and all the other units, just make sure that your receiving sensor is 100% solid. And one of the things I like to do when it's spliced like this is I'll go ahead and I'll flick it and I'll just kind of move it around just to try to see if I can trigger any kind of loose wire to act up as I'm messing with it. And so that does look like it's taped just fine, so that wouldn't be an issue here. Another thing you can look for is if your sensor is kind of hanging loose or pointed too far down or pointed too far up on either the receiving or sending unit, you can unscrew that here fairly easily, move it to wherever you need it, tighten that back up. So that should also help you out. And you can do the same thing with the sending unit as well, by adjusting that butterfly nut here to where it's pointed directly at your receiving unit. I know on some of the Genies, the sensor might be mounted to the wall directly, and so with those, the bracket can be bent inward and outward. That's another point of failure with the Genies. And the ones that are mounted to the wall is as people are putting things away, sometimes it gets pushed outward to where the sensor is pointed into the garage, or as they're bringing something out of that corner, it pushes the sensor in to where that sensor is facing outside instead of directly at the other sensor. If both your receiving and your sending sensors are off, I would advise you follow these wires as best you can. Of course, I know sometimes they're run internally. If you can follow the wires, I would look over those wires and see if any of those have been stapled through, as I've seen myself and have done myself, to where I had to resplice and all that to get it working again. So this would be another point you could check if both of your sensors are off. You want to make sure that both of those wires are plugged in all the way. So these are the red and white are usually for the wall control. The black and white are usually for the sensors. Both of mine are snugly in there, nice and connected, no issues. Check to see if yours are screwed down all the way or plugged in all the way. Mine here plug in, so you want to make sure those are good as well. So if you've done all those steps, that should have fixed your issues if you went over each of those steps. If not, and you really do need to get somebody out there and look it over for you, what you can do is press and hold your wall control, and that should get your door closed. So let me go ahead and actually demonstrate that. So right now you can see that I've got that keypad box right there, and that sensor's flashing. So that right now it should not close. Let me go ahead and show you guys. So if I just push this button, that garage door opener is just gonna flash, just like that. And then I will go ahead and hold it now. And if you're gonna do this until you get somebody out there, you do have to hold it until it's completely closed for it to close all the way. And so if you even let it go for a second, it will come back up and flash like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold it now. Just like that. And so you will see that the box is still there, sensor is still blocked. I didn't remove that box to do that. So there you have it. That's kind of worst case scenario there if you really need to wait until somebody can get out there to help you out. And so hopefully that'll save you guys some money in avoiding a service call. Hopefully this video was helpful to you, and I do truly hope that you got your garage door running properly again. If you do think you need a new sensor, I'll put a couple of the more common sensor types down in the description below, just from Amazon, and you could try that out. Worst case, you could always return them and get your money back, so Amazon's pretty awesome about that. Thank you so much for watching. If that helped you out, hit that like button for me, and the subscribe button is just right there. And if you do that, we will see you in the next video.